Good morning. I hope you're having a good day. I've been thinking back, and that's something that sometimes is useful and sometimes isn't, but I've been thinking back to when I grew up. And I grew up on a pretty large farm, about 500 acres. Not a big farm by standards in the Southwest, but big farm by standards in the Northeast. And we were a dairy farm, and we had a number of hired men. And we didn't pay very much, but we were able to provide them certain things. We, for example, provided each family with a house. And I'm not talking about a shack. They were well built, they were solid, they were warm. We provided them with fuel in the winter. We provided them with food and space to grow their own food as well. We took care of their medical expenses. Didn't hurt that my mother was a nurse, but a doctor was only like $3 back then. And we gave them money, but not a lot of money because we couldn't afford to give them a lot of money. And the only time in my life that I've been threatened was when I got everyone together a few months after my mother's death. I was still underage, but I had looked at everything, all the finances, and I knew I had to close the farm. And I got them all together and told them this. And a man who had worked for us for 40 years threatened me with a knife. I've never forgotten it. He said, "What will we do?" And I'm old, but I'm not ancient. So we're talking about something less than 50 years ago when that happened. We had 5 families that were in one way or another connected to the farm. I grew up with their kids. None, or very close to none, of the adults could write. Certainly not at above a 3rd grade level, and some of them could not sign their name. I think of one in particular. He didn't know how to sign his name. He made an X, and people had to witness it if he had to sign anything. That's gone. It's not just gone for my family. I mean, as I said, I had to get rid of the farm. And you know why? Because of taxes. Land taxes. Land taxes are a fairly new thing in a lot of parts of the country. And they occur because as the federal government lowered and lowered and lowered taxes on the richest folk, they pushed down mandates to local communities, and they had to be paid for somehow. And the only method that local communities have to raise money is land taxes and counties, sales taxes. So land taxes became a thing, and a bigger and bigger and bigger thing. And in the mid-70s, the late 70s really, the latter half of the 70s, when I looked at the stuff the first time, in the late 70s, it was over $7,000 a year for our farm. We were producing $20,000 a year from milk sales. Now, yes, obviously inflation is hundreds of percent since then. But the reality is we couldn't afford to pay people more than we did, even before land taxes, and I couldn't afford to keep the farm because of land taxes. And that's part of a trend. Go online and try to get a copy of last year's federal taxes without having an active credit card. Not a debit card that's marked as a credit card, as a MasterCard or a Visa. An actual credit card. You can't. Why not? Why isn't your state license, your Social Security number, the things the government issues you, more valuable as ID than a credit card issued by a private bank? It's worth thinking about. And that brings me to a further discussion of a conversation that I recently had. I may have mentioned this, I think I did in another video. I had a conversation with a man who supported the Malthusian solution as we move away from mass labor. What's the Malthusian solution? If they can't support themselves, let them die. That's the Malthusian solution. And I pushed back on that, supporting many other routes, one of them being UBI, and there are others. And he said, very bluntly, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he said, and I'm not exaggerating it. He said the rich aren't going to want to pay for them if they don't need them. So, just let them go. Let them die. Because that's what that equivocates out to. Just as I had no choice but to let the people who had worked for my family, in some cases for generations, go, because it was no longer possible to keep them. So too does he want to not just let go, but actually let die everyone that the rich don't want. Now, there's all sorts of conversations to be had about what we can do with the political economy. And a lot of that is in an article that will be linked below on Vocal. But I find it incredible that as a society, we are willing to accept that can even be a decent position to take in a conversation. And we can see it in other countries. We can see many countries where I have friends in third world countries who, under many circumstances, are living on a couple of cups of rice a day. I know people here who are at least slightly food insecure. And according to federal agencies, 1 out of every 5 people in the United States is food insecure. And people don't want to fix that. They want to make it worse. Not just this man, but the people that even if he doesn't say he's doing it, he is parroting, he is supporting, he is talking about. They want to let people die rather than change the political economy in a way that benefits everyone but a few hundred families. Inertia suggests that they'll succeed. There are other countries where it's done, and inertia suggests that we will move into that, whatever, that world. But I would remind you all what changes inertia. An equal or greater force pushing against it. I think we should be that force. Thank you very much. Please read the article. Have a good day.